most events that I attend these days are celebratory. They recognize a milestone in someone's military career. It could be a graduation, a homecoming from a deployment, a promotion. And I try to provide some insightful and inspirational thoughts at those events. But I tell you, when I'm at an event like this, the inspiration comes from you all. Those of you that we're honoring today, and the family members of those that we are honoring, from all of you. Now, today, both as a retired soldier and as a citizen of the greatest country in the history of the world, I'm doing a lot of listening. I listen to stories of amazing young men and women, amazing service members, but equally amazing families. Now, some people would say, why do you even hold events like this? You know, the honorees aren't even there. I would argue that they are. They are in the hearts and the memories of all the biological families here today. And they're also in the hearts and the memories of those of us who would be proud to call them teammates. Now, I used to be a little bit concerned and a little anxious as I prepared for events such as this, because I was always afraid, I was concerned that I was going to say not quite the right thing to the brother, sister, father, mother, son, or daughter of a fallen hero. But I've learned that there truly is no truly right thing to say. But the best thing that you can do is to listen, to be emotionally present, to be compassionate, to share a story, a laugh, a smile, and more than likely, probably the occasional tear. Now, the second best thing you can do, and I try to do it, and I hope I'm successful, is to convey that no matter how different the backgrounds are of those that we are honoring today and those that are here physically present, no matter the circumstances, you're all part of the military family. A family that never stops caring, supporting, recognizing, and honoring the commitment and the honorable service done by the members that we honor today. Now, in today's society, and I believe throughout history, the family, whether it shares the same biological DNA or not, is the fabric that binds us together. A strong family provides refuge when the world seems to be at its darkest. And a strong family doesn't forget. A strong family is what gives us the strength to pick ourselves up and eventually move forward. And you may not have been asked to be part of that family, but I, for one, am glad you are. Notice that I didn't say were, I said are. For you truly are. That team does not forget. It recognizes, and today it salutes, not only your loved one, but you all. And thank you for that. Now, whether the passing of your loved one occurred immediately in the theater or sometime in some place outside of the immediate theater, that service is to be reverently recognized. And events such as today can't be captured with some trite little comments on a Hallmark card. The feelings run far too deep. And in the case of the relationships, they're too private. And sometimes, frankly, they're a little complex. But it's fair to say that the memories are as unique and as powerful as the honorees themselves. As you know, service members come from points all over the country. They wear a variety of different uniforms, colors and styles, depending on their mission, their branch, and their type of service. But the name tag on the uniform, frankly, at the grand scheme, doesn't matter as much. But unlike the rest of America, who focuses on that name tag, we only focus on the fact that somehow these people were teammates. They were squad mates, wing mates, shipmates. And we drew comfort, whether we knew that name or not, we drew comfort from the fact that they were there and they were with us. Now, in the military, we have a personnel system. That personnel system is designed to supply a replacement unit member in the event of a casualty. And if the system works properly, the unit's loss and its pain and its shock slowly start to subside. In a contingency situation, they must subside because the focus must shift back to the mission at hand, away from that shock and that pain. But on the home front, there is no personal replacement system. There is no personnel system to replace the love of my life, my best friend, my partner, the breadwinner, daddy, mommy, my brother or my sister, my baby boy, or my sweet little girl. Now, there's no standard response that can be expected from a Gold Star family. There's no script to follow. Your loss is as individual and personal as the ones we honor today. Sometimes that response is not fully under your control. It may change from day to day. There may be days that you just want to scream. You want to know why. Why us? Why my family? Hard to explain. I certainly don't haven't cracked the code on that one. You may want to lash out. But eventually, as I've seen in so many Gold Star families, to include some that we're honoring today, you slowly start to move forward. And you start to honor, you live a life that honors that loved one. Now, as we honor those men and women, I ask you to think about why they served in the first place. Now, many of us, to include those who lined up here, probably had a draft board involved. Others, it may have been the lure of adventure, or to be with classmates, or young men and women of the same emotional connection to our country. It may have been to find adventure, or to find yourself, or to provide a better future for your family. For many, though, it was the draw of that sometimes hard to wrap your head around concept. The concepts of patriotism, democracy, providing for America's and the security of America's interest in the American way of life, or simply help ensure justice and a bit more humanity around the globe. Now, about a year ago, a friend of mine who was, actually he's a neighbor, and he lives in Naberlin, just outside of Naberlin, and he was actually the Assistant Secretary of the Navy and has moved up to Naberlin. He got smart and left Westchester County and moved into Naberlin. He and I were discussing military service, and he shared a quote with me from a famous journalist and philosopher by the name of G.K. Chesterton. And I think it pretty well captures the reason why most service members of all branches not only serve, but place themselves in harm's way and make those sacrifices. Chesterton said, "The true soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him, but because he loves what's behind him." I think that's powerful. And I believe that is what was behind these heroes was their country, their way of life, their families back home, and most important, the teammates in the midst of that conflict. They honored each of those loves with their last full measure. Today is a day of recognition. Now, a few weeks ago, I was asked to speak at a recognition and pinning ceremony outside of Binghamton. It's designed to recognize the Vietnam veterans. So, I give a lot of speeches and I try to figure out, okay, what do I want to tie all this together? What can relate? So, like any kid or adult in the modern age, I Googled it. What does recognize mean? What's the synonym for recognize? So, I Googled and I found some of the words that popped up. Acknowledge, pay tribute to, and commend. Now, the service of those that we are honoring today certainly is worth America's acknowledgement, tribute, and commendation. However, there was one word that popped up in that Google-generated list that I can't accept. Understand. For most of us can't understand. Even those of us who served in other situations, in other countries, in other areas of the world, in other times, we can't always understand. Most families can't understand. Co-workers can't understand. And certainly non-military members of the community can't always understand. That's one of the reasons that we have such issues with depression and post-traumatic stress. So out of respect, I won't use that word understand. I'll stick with the terms acknowledge, pay tribute to, and commend. And I believe that there's a lack of understanding that extends to the families who have suffered such great loss. So again, I won't use the word understand. I'll use the word acknowledge and pay tribute to. But you know, when I did that Google search, I also noticed that it provided an opposite. What my old English teacher used to call an antonym. You know what came up? Overlook. While we can't change the horrible and stressful past that have been suffered by the families and those that we honor today, you have my pledge and the pledge of the military family that the service and sacrifice that you and your loved one have gone through will never be overlooked. So today I say thank you. Thank you for the service of your loved one. And thank you for continuing to serve in a unique way that reminds us that freedom is not free. No, freedom and service to our country carries a price every day. And that cost is borne every day by the commitment of young men and young women from different backgrounds who have the common sense to put politics aside and simply live what Chesterton talked about, because they loved what was behind them enough to pay the ultimate price. May we all take a few moments to reflect on how precious and how dear our America is. May we all, in our own ways, work together to keep it secure. And God continue to bless those in uniform today. May He continue to bless those honorees. And may we, with God's help, act in a way that continues to truly make America that shining city on the hill.